Did Matt from Matt's Off-Road Recovery just face the crash that could end everything? Today, we're talking about the terrifying accident that has his fans in shock. Matt has always been the guy who pulls people out of the most impossible off-road situations. But this time, it was him trapped in the wreckage. Most people believe he's unstoppable, that no matter how bad it gets, he'll always come out on top. But what if I told you, this time, the odds were stacked so high against him, even the rescue team said he never stood a chance. I've spoken to people who were there, reviewed photos from the scene, and uncovered details that paint a chilling picture of what really happened. In this video, I'll walk you through the moments leading up to the crash, the shocking rescue attempt, and the truth about what's next for Matt and his channel. Did Matt from Matt's Off-Road Recovery just face the one crash that could end everything? For years, he's been the hero of the Utah desert, the man you call when you're hopelessly stranded in the middle of nowhere. But this time, it wasn't a tourist stuck in the sand. It was Matt himself, trapped and broken in the wreckage of his own vehicle. And what happened next left even seasoned rescuers shaken. It started like any other job, a broken down razor stuck in the treacherous terrain of Rattlesnake. The morning was beautiful, the rain had cleared, and Matt's confidence was sky high. He had the trailer, the tools, and years of experience pulling off recoveries no one else would dare attempt. But here's where it gets interesting. What looked like a routine pullout turned into a fight for survival. The terrain was slick, the angles unforgiving, and one miscalculation sent Matt's vehicle into a catastrophic position. In seconds, the man known for saving others became the one who needed saving. And when the first responders arrived, they weren't sure they'd be able to get him out alive. This was more than just a crash. It was the moment fans began to wonder if Matt's unstoppable streak had finally run out. But as we'll see, this was only the beginning of a series of blows that would test him harder than any recovery job ever could. Before the crash made headlines, Matt's journey to stardom was already one for the history books. He wasn't born into fame, and there was no Hollywood studio behind him. Just a rugged, big-bearded tow truck driver from Hurricane, Utah, with nothing more than an iPhone and the will to make it work. And here's the twist. He didn't even know how to run a laptop when he started. Back in 2019, Matt launched Matt's Off-Road Recovery with no illusions of overnight success. His early videos were raw, unscripted slices of life, showing real rescues in the unforgiving Utah wilderness. Tourists stranded in deep sand, vehicles hopelessly buried, dangerous mountain passes. Matt and his crew took on jobs that seemed impossible, always with kindness toward the people they rescued. That's what hooked viewers. But here's where it gets crazier. While many creators wait for expensive cameras and gear, Matt dove in with what he had, filming recoveries on his phone, propping on rocks, or handing it to a crew member. Slowly, the channel grew from a handful of views to hundreds of thousands. By the time he hit 1.5 million subscribers, Matt had turned a small-town towing business into a national sensation. It sounds like a dream, right? But behind the scenes, the success came at a brutal cost. Long days, sleepless nights, and challenges that would nearly break him. And one of those challenges wasn't mechanical, it was human. Before YouTube fame, Matt had already lived an entire career in a completely different world, roofing. For 12 years, he climbed ladders, hammered shingles, and battled the blistering Utah heat. 10 years as an employee, 2 as a business owner. It was honest work, but deep down, he knew he wanted something more. That's when he made the leap into towing without a single day of professional towing experience. Sounds reckless, right? But Matt thrived on figuring things out as he went. He bought a local company called Red Ryder Towing, and before long, he took over Winder Towing in 2013. That's when the off-road recovery calls started coming in, and they were a nightmare. Long, dangerous pulls in scorching heat, heavy cables that exhausted crews, and bills so high they could wipe out a customer's entire vehicle value. Something had to change. Here's where it gets interesting. Instead of quitting, Matt started from scratch. He built a yellow 2001 Jeep Cherokee, nicknamed the Banana by a skeptical customer, and paired it with kinetic recovery ropes. This new setup turned grueling, hours-long jobs into quick recoveries measured in minutes. The system worked so well that word spread fast. But Matt wasn't just solving recovery problems. He was unknowingly building the foundation for a YouTube empire. The videos started as little clips for friends, until someone suggested he put them online. That's when everything began to snowball. At first, Matt had no idea how to run a YouTube channel. He didn't like computers, hated editing, and had no clue how to make videos people actually wanted to watch. But here's the crazy part. He learned YouTube from YouTube. Late at night, after long towing shifts, Matt would lock himself in his attic and watch tutorials. He discovered an app called LumaFusion that let him edit videos right from his iPhone. No expensive setup, no fancy equipment, just pure grit and creativity. He filmed recoveries while working, sometimes propping his phone on sticks and rocks, and edited until the early hours of the morning, running on 2 or 3 hours of sleep. And then it happened. One of his videos blew up. It jumped from a few thousand views to over 1 million. That single moment changed everything. Suddenly, Matt realized YouTube could be more than just a side project. It could be a business. But here's where it gets even better. His story inspired thousands of people who thought they needed expensive gear to start. If a high school-educated tow truck driver with an iPhone could do it, so could they. Fans began to see Matt not just as a rescuer, but as proof that determination beats excuses every time. Yet, success on YouTube comes with a whole new set of challenges. And the next one would force Matt to make a decision that would change his career forever. The turning point came when Matt crossed paths with a name that kept popping up in creator circles, Daryl Eaves. People told Matt, this guy works with Mr. Beast and the biggest YouTubers in the world, and he lives right in your town. At first, Matt brushed it off, but curiosity won, and he got Daryl's number from a friend. When Matt called, Daryl answered, which shocked him. Matt explained his situation, that he had a growing channel but felt stuck. He asked if Daryl did consulting. Daryl said no, but then asked the name of his channel. 20 minutes later, Matt got a text. We need to go to lunch. That lunch changed everything. Daryl told Matt his channel had huge potential, but that he had to stop editing his own videos immediately. You should be out creating content, Daryl said. Let an editor handle the rest. It was a wake-up call. Here's where it gets interesting. Daryl offered to partner with Matt, and soon they struck a deal. With Daryl's guidance, Matt learned the science of keeping viewers watching. He understood that YouTube wasn't just about cool footage. It was about storytelling, pacing, and making people feel something. With a team of editors, Matt could focus on the rescues, and the channel exploded in growth. But the bigger the audience, the higher the stakes. And Matt was about to learn that fame can attract more than just fans. With Daryl's help, Matt's off-road recovery became a well-oiled machine. Views climbed, merchandise sales boomed, and sponsors lined up. Matt even turned down offers from Discovery and History Channel because he didn't want to give up creative control. He believed owning the narrative was the key to long-term success. But here's the twist. While his public life looked like a non-stop win streak, Matt's personal philosophy was quietly cutting into his profits. He had a big heart, sometimes too big. His wife Jamie often asked, "Did you collect on that job?" And more than once, the answer was no. Matt would rather help someone for free than see them struggle. That generosity made fans love him, but it also left him vulnerable. Then came the community impact. The channel had raised over $600,000 for local charities, built an all-abilities park, and supported off-road groups protecting public lands. Matt wasn't just a YouTuber, he was a hometown hero. But success has a shadow side, and whispers about his business practices started to surface. Here's where it gets darker. In late 2021, Matt's name hit the news for all the wrong reasons. Insurance fraud. The words didn't match the man fans thought they knew. The story behind the charges would send shockwaves through his audience and threaten everything he'd built. The scandal broke like a thunderclap. Toward the end of 2021, Utah prosecutors charged Matt with second-degree felony insurance fraud, a crime carrying up to 15 years in prison. For fans, it was unthinkable. The man who built his reputation on honesty and helping people was suddenly painted as a criminal. According to investigators, some of the tows Matt's company performed were billed to AAA under false circumstances. One case stood out: a Polaris RZR stuck in Sand Hollow State Park. AAA doesn't cover off-road recoveries, yet the claim allegedly stated they had rescued a truck, not the RZR. The payout? Over $15,000 in total claims tied to similar incidents. But here's where it gets complicated. In at least one case, the vehicle's owner admitted using a friend's AAA membership to cover the cost. Was Matt the mastermind, or just caught in a messy gray area? Fans were split. Some stood by him, others felt betrayed. In court, Matt pled no contest to a reduced misdemeanor charge. The deal spared him prison, but he was hit with 18 months probation in order to pay back over $17,000 in fines and restitution. The headlines were brutal, and the internet's judgment came fast. And yet, Matt didn't stop. While the case played out, his channel kept uploading, his crew kept rescuing, and the views kept coming. But surviving the legal storm didn't mean the damage was over. The fallout would linger. What shocked people most wasn't just the charges. It was how seamlessly Matt carried on as if nothing had happened. While most YouTubers would vanish from the spotlight, Matt stayed in front of the camera, smiling, rescuing, and posting videos on schedule. To casual viewers, it was business as usual. But those who knew the truth could sense the weight behind his eyes. Behind the scenes, the legal process was grueling. Court dates, paperwork, meetings with attorneys, all while trying to keep his crew paid and the channel running. The probation terms meant he had to keep his record spotless, and every move was under a microscope. One slip up, and a misdemeanor could escalate into something far worse. Here's where it gets interesting. Fans spotted the MORV, Matt's signature recovery vehicle, at big events like King of the Hammers, even during the height of the scandal. It was almost like he was sending a message: I'm still here, and I'm not backing down. That stubborn resilience became a rallying point for his supporters. But the court's verdict didn't erase the whispers. In small-town Utah, reputations travel faster than tow trucks, and Matt now carried a scar on his public image. The question was no longer if he could survive the scandal. It was whether he could rebuild the trust he'd lost. Rebuilding trust wasn't going to be easy. In the off-road community, your reputation is everything. One bad story can outweigh 100 good deeds. Matt knew this, and instead of hiding, he doubled down on showing up for people, both on and off camera. He threw himself into charity work, organized community fundraisers, and kept rescuing stranded motorists without hesitation. But here's the twist. Some fans admitted they liked him even more after the scandal. To them, the charges proved he was human, flawed, stubborn, and willing to own his mistakes. Others weren't so forgiving, quietly drifting away from the channel. Matt's subscriber growth slowed, and each new video came with a comment section divided between loyal defenders and skeptical critics. He leaned heavily on his crew during this time, especially Ed, his longtime friend and yard manager. The bond between them became a focal point of the videos. Two men weathering storms together, both literal and figurative. Ed's presence reminded viewers of the channel's roots: friendship, grit, and getting the job done no matter what. Still, Matt couldn't escape the reality that the scandal had permanently altered his story. The next big challenge wouldn't be pulling a truck out of the sand. It would be proving day after day that he deserved the second chance he'd been given. By the time the dust settled, Matt had emerged battered but unbroken. The crash, the scandal, the courtroom, none of it had stopped him from doing what he loved. But it changed him. He became sharper about how jobs were documented, more selective about which recoveries to take, and fiercely protective of his crew's reputation. Yet, the heart of Matt's off-road recovery stayed the same. The yellow banana still rolled out into impossible terrain. The dog still bounded alongside the trucks. And the rescues still carried that same mix of danger, skill, and kindness that first drew millions to the channel. His story had shifted. He was no longer just the invincible hero of the Utah backcountry, but a man who'd stared down ruin and kept moving forward. Here's where it gets wild. The very thing that could have ended his career had, in some ways, made it stronger. The viewers who stayed weren't just fans anymore. They were invested in Matt's redemption. Every successful recovery was more than a rescue. It was proof that he could still rise after falling. And if you thought this story was tragic, you have to see the one playing on your screen right now. Because compared to that, Matt's ordeal is just the beginning of something even more bizarre.